So at the end of the day, he said,
That's not normal.
it's not.
And it's not okay.
It's not okay. That's pretty skeezy,
Yeah.
right? Funny enough, so I just had a deal. Tabitha Jones from the Astro community, she had a deal close in Las Vegas. I believe it was with your Fidelity office out there. She shout out to Fidelity out there in Vegas and Tabitha for this deal. But listen to this. So she sells a deal to a known buyer. She's done multiple deals with him. And this known buyer says to her, hey, I'm going to get a new hard money lender into this transaction. I had a conversation with him. He promised me phenomenal rate, low origination fee. I'm going to save a ton of money. So I'm going to use this guy. She's like, cool. She trusts the buyer because he's closed multiple deals with her and they've never had a problem. So as they get closer and closer to close of escrow, what happens is the title company is emailing this buyer and this hard money lender. Buyer's responding, but the hard money lender's ghosting. No response, no response, no response. And so she starts to get pretty nervous, right? So she starts calling the hard money lender. No response, no response. And then, she's now like texting and like getting pretty aggressive. And then he's like, okay, he starts responding with one word. Yeah, got it. All good. Received. Like everything's good. Well, she calls him and says, hey, are you sure you're going to be able to fund and close this deal on time? He's like, absolutely. They get to the close date. He's nowhere to be found. He's not answering his phone. And now this seller has a $20,000 non-refundable deposit on her purchase that she's making.
Wow.
That this deal needs to close to fund her purchase. So now the seller is on the hook for $20,000. First and foremost, what's the liability situation for that buyer or that wholesaler in that situation? Because we talk about liability quite a bit. And I know that the contracts state that EMD is liquidated damages, right?
Depends on how it's written. But
okay.
Yeah.
But most boilerplate real estate agent contracts have EMD loss as the maximum liquidated damage that can be accessible. And arbitration is always the first thing that has to go. And in arbitration, that's when that ruling gets made typically, right?
Yeah, it's when nobody can agree.
Okay.
Right.
So Tabitha was worried that because that lady had $20,000 up and she only had $5,000 up, she was like, I'm going to lose my $5,000, but am I going to be on the hook for her 15? What do you think from a title perspective?
Oh gosh, I'd have to send that to legal, but I think, nobody should be ghosting.
Right. So the hard money lender obviously has some fault, but she's just worried about, where she is in the situation. Right.
Did they end up performing?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'm on the, I want to, cause I assured her, I said, listen, from what I understand and all of the real estate board approved contracts that I've read, the total amount of liquidated damages that can be sought as restitution or for any damages is loss of EMD. So did she have extra liability for the $15,000 gap? That's the question that I wanted to know. How would a title company look at that?
I totally don't. I don't know on that one.
Okay, so Dina's not a lawyer.
Yeah, I can tell you though, on the builder side, when I used to look at those contracts, it actually could be way more because of how the contracts were written than the original earnest money.
Oh, so the builder could possibly go after the seller for more.
The buyer.
The builder could have gone after the buyer for more. Got it.
Depending on the builder contract. I've seen it.
So that buyer was in doo-doo. Anyways, what ended up happening was they got an extension, they kicked out the lender, they got a new lender, they funded, everything closed, all was well, and the deal transacted.
So
right?
What happened with that lender? Why did they go dark? Well, I just had this happen to somebody over last weekend.
So at the end of the day, he said, I've changed my terms.
Oh.
I want a 3-point origination fee. Interest rate's not going to be 12%. It's 18%. And I'll wire the money in right now.
That's not normal.
It's not.
It's definitely not normal. And it's not okay.
It's not okay. That's pretty skeezy, right?